Son of the Spirit from Rhythm. I want to have some news, what happened the last month, so we can. The two main new news that I want to share with you and we talk about, that we are to be informed about, is that we've had a conference with His Holiness Pope Tewodros, and that conference was the first week of October. It was on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, the first week. And the conference title is the Coptic Land of Immigration Conference, or seminar. And it's what His Holiness said, that it is to discuss things related to the land of immigration. That didn't sit well with the group that grew up here. They definitely, it's a point. You don't see the same. You don't see the same point of view from there. You have to. They should have taken, and it was raised to His Holiness, and they said this title kind of makes us feel like we are outsiders. Anyway, but the conference was very good. Actually, I think that's what I got out of it. Every time, they do it every 3 years, every time His Holiness said we have to discuss something different. This time they discussed theological education. They discussed what we teach, the teaching. 3 years ago, I forgot what did they discuss. I don't know what they did talk about. It was in Egypt, and people went over there. This time was in New Jersey, and Somerset, New Jersey. So what did they do? The one responsible for the organizing of the seminar was David, the bishop. So they asked every diocese from the states and to offer 5 delegates. The bishop will come. We have and has 5 people: an older priest, more than 20 years service in the States; a younger priest, less than 10 years service in the state; and 3 servants. Head servant, who had been in the States for more than 30 years, and 2 male and female young servants who were raised in the States. They had to be very young or born here. These are the 5 delegates from all the dioceses. There were a few bishops. I might think maybe 8 or 9 bishops. Actually, there were representatives from Europe, South America, Australia, and Surya was there. So the land of immigration is not only America, it's everybody. And we had some servants who had encountered with British, with their accents, and Australian with their very thick accents. So one of the priests, Abunishud, is a very nice man. He was the first priest to be ordained in Australia from the 2nd generation. He was born and raised in Australia. Perfect Australian. So, but he speaks an accent that you cannot understand. I couldn't understand it. I can't even tell you what he said. He said some things to the Pope, and I couldn't understand. I don't think the Pope understood him either. But he's a sweetheart. It was very funny. An older man. He was like in his 50s. So Australia has been going on for a long time, much longer than us. The seminar was discussing. Well, let me go through the website so I can give you the headlines of that seminar.
Sunday workshops.
Sessions. So let me read this with you. It's a small introduction, and who was there. As communicated in the past, the seminar's focus will be on theological education in the lens of immigration. It will consist of 4 lectures and 5 workshops. That's exactly what they did. The seminar is being held with this focus because of the modern challenges facing the ancient, conservative, and traditional foundations of our Coptic Church. The goal of the seminar is to cover the following with regard to theological education: unified democracy very soon. So some people said this might not be a good idea to unify. Even the word unify is not something that we should focus on. And the continuing education of clergy, they want the priests to have continuous education to how to meet the challenges of the current issues. And a topic they actually discussed is orthodoxy and orthopraxy. Orthodoxy is the faith, orthopraxy is the practice of it. The practice of the faith. Okay. The workshops shall be divided between these topics and will be discussed during the workshops in order to come up with recommendations for theological education in the lands of immigration. It was not the job of this seminar to create curriculums, just to create a vision, to make a vision. What is required? What do we need to do? And what are the challenges? You actually want us to decide what are the challenges. Each workshop shall be coordinated by one of the bishops along with other bishops and priests. Every bishop shall assign one delegate to each of the 5 workshops below. So we said 5 delegates from each diocese. Each one of them will go to workshop. Maybe that's I misunderstand it. He had to. They would have to be delegated to one of the workshops, and these are the workshops. So here is the lectures first. We had four lectures, but the difference here was some of the bishops didn't come and was replaced. So the importance of apostolic teaching, His Holiness Pope Tawadros II gave a very beautiful lecture on the apostolic teaching, and he said it is rooted in the Bible, in the Gospel, especially Gospels and the letters of the apostles. And then His Grace Bishop Sorial gave a very rich, I can't tell you, it's like made everybody get excited when he spoke about the educational, the history of education since Habib Girgis. He loves it, yes. But he said, he compared him actually, which was interesting, to Origen. He said in the time of Origen fathers died as martyrs. And Origen grew up in a time of persecution before Constantine. And he used to teach people to prepare them to be martyrs. Many of his students became martyrs later. So he said, what kind of teaching would we want to give to prepare people to face witnessing for Christ and dying? What would you do? So he said, Habib Girgis came to do exactly the same. He was struggling against a lot of ignorance and a lot of pressure from missionaries. And it was a very beautiful talk. Everybody wanted to have a copy of it. Metropolitan Serapion didn't come, but he sent his 2 bishops, the general bishops, Bishop Kurulos and Bishop Abraham. And I didn't think that we had. Did we have a theological? I don't remember. The modern methods of teaching was given by Amba Kurulos, and he spoke about some things. It was interesting too. He said, now, new teaching is not to inform. The new way of teaching is to transform. And it's just that. He said, we have to put in your mind when your teaching is not to give information. It is about transformation. And he went on for a long time talking about it. And he spoke about different ways. He said you have to engage people quickly, and you have to have a goal in your mind when you're teaching what will change, what will change them, not what will they learn. There's a difference between what will happen to them to change and what will they learn, because information can be put aside and be forgotten. These are the 4 lectures. When we go to the lectures, the workshops, they started with, they had a workshop on servant preparation and curriculum for the servants. The preparation for the pre-servants curriculum and the servants curriculum. And this included Bishop Angelos, who came, Bishop Daniel, and Bishop Yusuf from Bolivia.
Bishop Angelos in
Inglaterra, Stevening. And then the Sunday school curriculum, it was head by Bishop Yusuf. Bishop Michael didn't come, and I didn't see Bishop Musaid either. So the questions were, what are the challenges to establish a curriculum? What are some solutions to these challenges? What sort of plan might be implemented in that pursuit of consolidated theology-focused curriculum? And we discovered in the meeting that theology, the word theology is not about dogma. This is something that I discovered people don't understand. Theology is not just a creed, it's not dogma, it's not high, difficult things. What's theology? Theology is understanding everything in reference to God. When you understand everything in reference to God, your food, your leisure time is a point of theology. What is that to do with the great plan of things in the vision of God? Theology is everything, actually. So this is something that we had to learn in the workshop. Clergy seminars, the challenges to continuing education. Bishop Surya was in, I don't know if he left or he was there, but this is what they discussed. They talked about seminaries. Actually, Abuna Daniel from California talked about sabbaticals for the priest, and I was very excited. Huh? Sabbaticals is like you every 7 years, every 5 years, whatever, the priest leave for a year, and never to be found. Not,
Sounds like the Jewish back time when they take a whole year.
yeah, the sabbatical year. Yeah, they have to completely withdraw to kind of rejuvenate and bring himself back to, because it's very easy and it's very easy to burn out.
And he's
So,
gonna go here and
I was excited and talked about retirement and all that things, these good things.
alone,
No,
Abuna,
huh?
alone or with his wife?
No, he was his wife. Abuna Daniel has sabbatical.
No, I mean he's gonna go alone
No,
for 1 year.
with his wife and family, of course. It's just he would have to stop serving for 1 year.
That's not
Orthodoxy and orthopraxy, what are things to help applying what we believe into everyday life? This was a very good question, and the workshop tackled this. And then the fifth one, which Bishop Peter was the head of, one of the heads of this, with Bishop Abraham, is how to help families to be established, nurture them, educate them, especially in education of families, about the aspects of the families that has to be educated. Families have to be educated about, and how to build themselves and build their kids in the pursuit of the kingdom of God. So this was the seminar. It was very good. The recommendations in the workshops were very fruitful. I'm praying that it will come to action. That's the next step, because they gave a lot of good recommendations. Pray that it comes to action. Any questions about this? It was 3 days in the beginning of October. The second one is the issue yesterday, or the day before, about what happened in Israel. Deir Sultan. And everybody knows about this, no?
Yeah.
So what happened is, this is an old issue. It's a wound that is being refreshed. It's more political than anything else. Let me give you a little background. Here is the bishop, the Metropolitan of Jerusalem, the Coptic Metropolitan, making a statement about what happened. So what happened is that there is the church. Let me just show you the picture so you know where that is. We have a church. We have part in the Church of the Sepulchre. See if I can get it this way. And this is what happened a couple of days ago. There was multiple YouTube videos. It was very, very sad. Let's see if we can get one of them here. That's phone camera. The police is pulling a monk. And also cops, regular cops. the Metropolitan, the Bishop of the Coptic Church is here. He's there in the back, standing over there. The bishop is here in the corner, over there. Standing over there, you can see his head. They didn't come to him, but they called all the monks. So if you look at this corner, this is where the monastery is. In this side is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the Church of the Resurrection. Anyway, so what they did is the church, the monastery had a piece that looks on the Church of the Sepulchre, and it was the stones started to fall down, and they wanted to repair it. And the Israeli said, "No, this does not belong to you. You cannot repair it. It belongs to the Ethiopian." We had a problem with the Ethiopians since maybe I don't know when.
1946.
1946.
Something. No, بعد ما أعلنوا دولة إسرائيل.
Yeah, and when Israel came into.
اليهود الفلاشة.
Yes, so it's political. They have a political reasons. They want Ethiopia to be with them. They're doing favor to Ethiopia. Why? Because Ethiopia has has a lot of things that the Israeli wants from Ethiopia, minerals, metals, stuff, and also there are a lot of Jews in Ethiopia. A lot of Jews. Yes. So it's a political. So they did this action, although the Israeli the Supreme Court in Israel, ruled to the Coptic Church. So now we have a problem with the Ethiopians because of it. So they did this. The bishop was standing. They didn't come to the bishop, didn't do anything to the bishop, but the rest of the monks, they pulled down. Yes. So this is the statement of the Coptic bishop over there. Due to the recent inaccurate news on the subject of Coptic Deir el-Sultan, the name is Sultan means the king. It was given to the Copts by a king in the 7th or 8th century. We, the Coptic Orthodox Patriarchate in Jerusalem, decided to issue an official statement to document the incidents historically in an effort to avoid any interpretation related to the recent incidents and clarify the whole matter from its source without exaggeration. The Coptic monastery of the Sultan in Jerusalem dates back to the reign Sultan Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, that is in the 7th to the early 8th century, who gave it to the Copts, and therefore it was named Deir Sultan. The Coptic Orthodox Church's ownership of Deir Sultan was confirmed during the reign of Sultan Salah ad-Din and in the 12th century during the Crusades. It's a part of the Coptic Orthodox Patriarchate of Alexandria. The monastery is located on the roof of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem and has an entrance leading into the church. It covers an area of 1,800 square meters, not feet. This is a big piece of property. In the middle of the outer courtyard, it contains the dome of the Church of St. Helen. It also contains two ancient churches on the southeast side of the monastery. The first is the Church of Archangel Michael, etc. In the latter half of the 17th century, the Ethiopian turned to the Coptic Church to find a temporary shelter because of the ownership of their churches was transferred to the Roman and the Armenian churches in 1654. This occurred because of the Ethiopian Church was unable to pay their taxes. The Coptic Church in Jerusalem hosted the Ethiopian monks temporarily as guests in Deir Sultan. On October 17, 1820, the Coptic Church renovated Deir Sultan, and this required all the residents. So November 1850, the Ethiopian tried to seize the key of Deir Sultan. They kept it, they want to keep it. During the Ottoman Empire, that was returned back to the Copts. In 1862, once again attempted to take it. 1888, 1906, they requested to renovate the monastery as an initial step to attempt to take it. 1945, during the British Mandate, the Ethiopians painted one of the rooms in which they lived. The governor of Jerusalem sent a letter to them confirming that this work may not be considered in the future a presumption of ownership. 1959, misled the Jordanian administrator of Jerusalem, convincing him of the right to their sultan. Jordanian government handed their sultan over 1959 by force, February 22nd, 1961. During Pope Carlos VI, he sent delegations to meet the King of Jordan, and they provided the king with documents providing the Coptic Church ownership of the monastery. In 1970, during the Holy Resurrection Liturgy, the Israeli government sent military forces who enabled the Ethiopian monks to seize their sultan and change the locks. Israel wanted to have that happen. On September 22nd to 17, and a result of the renovation of the roof of the Greek Orthodox Church adjacent to their sultan, a small stone fell from the roof of the church of Archangel Michael, one of the two churches in Deir Sultan. This led to the closure of the church by the dangerous buildings department of Jerusalem municipality until the completion of renovation and repair of the damage. On the evening of Thursday, October 19th, 2000, the government appointed engineer tried to admit equipment to begin repairs without notifying us in writing. They ignored totally that it belongs to the cops. And the monks and the deacons and sub-deacons led by our archbishop rushed to perform a peaceful protest in front of their sultan gate to prevent the entry. It might be 2018.
Should be 18. Mm-hmm.
But some of officers from various parties tried to convince us to allow the equipment to enter the site, but we refused this without prior coordination in order to preserve our rights. The Egyptian embassy intervened in this matter, and this led to the delay of the work until coordination in writing is made with us. It's worth mentioning that the Egyptian Foreign Ministry firmly supports the Coptic Church in its legitimate demand of its right to restore the Coptic Church Egyptian monument on the basis of their sultan is a matter that concerns Egypt and not only the church. We call upon all parties concerned to support the Coptic Church. So, based on this, the bishops in the United States have issued also a statement.
For the Congress.
Yeah. We, the Coptic Orthodox bishops in North America, strongly denounce the abhorrent treatment of monks and deacons serving in the Coptic Orthodox Patriarch of Jerusalem under the auspice of His Eminence Metropolitan Antonius of Jerusalem, and the unlawful arrest of one of the monks. They took one of the monks and they arrested them as they exercised their right for peaceful protest against the legal sees of the Sultan Monastery in Jerusalem. All the historic documents since 19th century up to 1971 is Israeli Supreme Court ruling regarding the Sultan Monastery adamantly confirmed that this monastery is the property of the Coptic Orthodox Church, and they condemned what the Israeli authorities had done. So our plea for justice is the first and foremost submitted before God. We demand full protection from the Israeli government and complete compliance with the Supreme Court ruling of 1971 to be implemented immediately. And the bishop signing this petition or the statement is Bishop Metropolitan Serapion, Bishop Yusuf, Bishop David, Mina, Karas, Peter, and Peter is one of them, and Abraham, Carlos, and Seraphim. This was the second piece of news, so I wanted you to be informed, so we're not really far away from what's happening. We should be aware of what's happening. And I don't want to spend more time there. I want to go to our own business. So I think the classes is moving on. I've seen more classes doing good work. I know K is done, first and second, third, fourth and fifth. What was missing? Preschool. Yes, it's done, right? Thank God, it's done. All right, good. Preschool is done. Also, I have books. I was waiting for the rain to kind of quiet down so I can bring books at the end of our session today. I'm going to bring the books. But before I bring the books, which I want to bring the books and movies. So all the classes will have a library. The idea is I'm not sure which way to go. Should each class have a library of their own, or should we have a one library? But the problem is we don't have a space outside the classes. So maybe we can distribute the books, but you have to, this is what happens with books. You get the books and give them to the kids, they never come back.
ناخد اهاليهم ندفعهم فلوس.
I think it should be true, because the books are very costly.
ناخد الأهالي رقم.
They're costly, right? They're not cheap. They're not cheap, and I don't think I can do this too many times. It's like $250, $300 to get a group of books that's not making anything. And I want to get movies too. So we get books and movies, because one of the questions is what movies to watch at home. And we need to start building up a library of movies that is good for all the ages. This is my dream, that we have a very strong library of books and movies. And maybe digital copies too, if we have to. So this is I will do, if the rain just kind of quiet a little bit, I have the books in the trunk in the car. I'll bring them before they become mushy. All right. Okay. Now, any problems in this? One thing I want to show you. Just this is something we should look at too. That's our email for the elementary, and we have there the I think I can go into the here.
Google Doc.
I'm very excited about this. This works. Believe it or not, it does work. It helped me tremendously. I'm very excited to say this. So one of the excitement is I was actually trying to call people as Riham is entering her class. She was entering her class and I was working on it at the same time.
Yeah, the Google Doc.
Huh?
That's cool, Google Doc.
Google Documents?
Yeah.
It's like live. I'm watching Riham making P's and A's. And I was asking, who is this? I wrote
And you
that.
can see who's online.
Yeah.
You can see who's online. Like next to the A, it will, yeah. See this?
You're
Ham is online now. Yeah.
It is very good. It's really good, I'm going to tell you. Because I just come here, I wanted to show you this so you understand what I am suffering from. Here, all of them, beautiful. Here is something that, when I wrote the question mark next to the name, that I don't know who are they. I don't know these people. Okay?
Maybe they visited.
But every single one that I have their names and numbers were called. So all these people who I didn't know that they come. Some of these people, some of them came and left before Sunday school. So I know that. I saw them. This is all of them, and thank God they're updated. Until when I checked it, the only class that was not updated is 7 and 8. Until today, it's not. I don't know why. I'm not trying to expose anybody.
I can probably fill that in for you.
Okay, I would like to know, but that's the only class. And this was 9 and 10. And here's 11 and 12. It's good. It's very good. I have the names. What I do. Here is another document I open. I'll show you what I'm doing so you know exactly what I'm doing.
Do you want us to add the servants to the bottom of that sheet?
Please.
Yeah? Makes sense.
And you know, you can add another. You can, if you wanna tell them something, you can add another tab, another sheet, and everybody can look at it. So you don't have to send an email to just.
Yeah, ضحمة.
What do
كله
you
شوف
mean?
كله.
If you're gonna add the servants to the sheet,
Yes.
so everybody's gonna.
Yes. I want the sheet for the servants, elementary and middle and high, because why should I be the evil person?
Somebody has
Everybody has to judge themselves, right? We're not, I hope I'm not wasting your time, but I'm just telling you that things actually work. When we do it right, it works. So what I do is this, look at this. This is how I do it, so you understand what I'm doing. So I go here, and I look at who was A, okay? Carlos Hanalla. So I go here, and I say H-A-N-N-A-L-A.
Oh, this is the last name.
And here he is, okay? And I have a number to call.
This is
You
the
get that? I don't need to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's it. I'm done. So, and I finished calling.
Sign here, Abuna.
I finished calling everybody in 1 hour. I'm serious. You know what happened before? What happens before? I used to go through the list. And I would try to remember who came, who didn't come, who came, and it would take me 5-6 hours.
Yeah.
This really works, I'm telling you. It helped me a lot. And it will help you too to kind of keep up and it will force all of us to be organized and be on top of things. It's good, it's not bad. Yes?
I like the idea of putting servants because it gives
Yes.
them a clear path to adjunct. It's a trajectory to adjunct without and documented
but keep-
path to adjunct.
Keep also, is it limited or we can keep the servant meeting in it too? Can we add the servants meeting to it?
A lot.
Yeah, I mean, well, I could, because it's a file, I could just add it.
Okay, good.
I'll ask Steve to add it.
Yes,
Just
5 or
add a
7.
sheet at the bottom and then just the period. So any of us can, because we all have edit.
Okay,
It's not.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
say something.
Okay, I think it would save you a step to go into that database and look for the name.
We have the phone number.
If all of us just put the numbers of those kids in by their name.
Here is the
that's it.
problem. I don't want to put too much information that can be hacked.
It's not
Any
hacked.
is,
Anybody can.
I mean, I prefer to do an
I
extra
wanna
step.
sometimes remember the family when he goes to that.
Yes,
see the-
I go through the whole family, that helps. But I want to say, I will go a little bit more step to protect the privacy of the kids. I want to help myself, but I don't want to also put a lot of information out there. Can't do that. Okay,
When do you usually need this by? Is it like
Sunday, that would be great. Because I don't want, yes.
by 6 is okay? By
Yes,
6 p.m.
yes,
is okay?
yes, fine. I mean, I usually, if I can't do it on Sunday because of business, I do it on Monday. Tuesday would be a little bit late. I mean, I have other people that get excited when Abuna asks. They say, wow, Abuna, you noticed? I said, yeah, I noticed. I'm not lying. Because I rely on you as my eyes and ear. Yes?
So the next thing, Mike, you can do this on your phone.
الله أعلم.
And I've been trying to help
فكروا في النيرفز اللي بعده.
to do this on their phone. So on Sunday, I do this on Sunday as I'm walking around, and I'm like, then you know who's not here and I can do it. But then people are figuring how to do it, and they go home and do it on their computer. But it's nice to have it on your phone. I can help you with that.
If you think I need to go visit somebody, maybe you should do a mark or something. Maybe you can write A+.
In the same,
Visit for the
in the same box they can say just need a visit.
Yeah?
You can do that.
Or AV.
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 IV will be next.
That would be great. If you can, if you know why they're absent, if somebody's in the hospital or something happened, write as a comment. Okay. So this, I wanted you to know that this actually worked, and I'm very pleased with the outcome of it. I'm very pleased with the outcome of it. All right, thank you all. Thank you all for doing the good and wonderful work. I was reminded that we need encouragement. I am the first. Let me go to our topic today. Anybody read the little page on intimacy? Last time we distributed this one page on intimacy. Anybody read it? Just a quick, we read it? Did it help? Understanding? How many pages? 50?
I found the PDF.
It's 2 pages.
No, I read like the actual.
The actual PDF, the whole thing?
Yes.
Huh?
No, why are you so red?
But here what it means.
Very intense.
Intimacy requires what? Intimacy requires what? What's the requirement of intimacy from last time? What is the requirement of intimacy? How to become intimate with somebody, your husband, your best friend, we say intimate friend. What does it require?
Work.
No? No, from that article, what did we say? I guess it's volatile information. It disappears. We said that the 7 steps of intimacy, you start with cliches. Good morning, good night, good evening.
Goodbye.
That's the beginning. But the beginning is a communication on the cliche level. Like the weather is good, right? The sun is nice. It's warm today. It's raining. So, it's very common knowledge. This is the beginning of it. But what is the last one? What's the last step in intimacy? Opening up vulnerability. Being naked. Intimacy needs. Remember how I started talking about it? I guess you forget. I start talking about it by saying to you that the temptation of Adam and Eve was not about eating from the tree. It's about uncovering their nakedness. Because at the end of the temptation, they looked at themselves and said, "We're naked. Guess what? This is awful. And why God is leaving us naked?" And they had to hide from each other and from God to cover themselves. And the point is, the rabbis and everybody who reads the book of Genesis, they tell you, the temptation is not about eating. This is kindergarten, this is actually preschool. I would not teach my kindergartners that. I teach my kindergartners the snake wanted them to doubt God's love. But pre-K, yes, tell them about eating from the tree. That's very primitive. This is like sad to think about that. That's all what we think about is the temptation came for them to eat from the tree. That is nonsense. The temptation was for them to doubt the love of God, but then through what? Why would they doubt the love of God? Because they found themselves naked. Why would God leave us naked? That's the question. He created everything and covered everything. Why, out of all the creatures, we are the naked species? Okay, and the answer was, why would God leave them naked? That's a summary of everything I said. Why would they leave them naked? Because God wanted them to be intimate. Because that's the key. They said the woman and the man were naked and were not ashamed because they felt comfortable. There's nothing to hide. Nakedness on all levels, not the physical, it's on the emotion. When you come to say to somebody your deepest embarrassing things, you and that person becomes very close. Because if you uncover yourself to someone, there's nothing to hide. Then you and that someone is very intimate. You become one. So when God doesn't, if God covers them from the beginning, what happens? He's teaching them borders, no intimacy. So what God wanted to do is to give them that vulnerability, to be vulnerable with one another and with Him, so they can be intimate with each other and with God. But then what did the devil do? Took the most beautiful thing in the relationship and turned it a cause of shame, distrust, avoidance, hiding, insecurity, you name it. And this is what happens. The devil sometimes do this. Try to tell us, don't tell her, don't tell him these things. They will look down on you and despise you. Don't go to a woman and confess. What would a woman think of you? Don't do that. You're a fool. Go find something else. Talk to your friend. One time I was talking to a man who had done something horrible to his wife. And then I said to him, "Would you want to confess?" No, I'm talking to my girlfriend. That's what he said exactly.
He seems honest about it.
Yes, I was shocked. I said,
Actually, he did confess, Abuna.
so he's cheating. That's what I'm saying. I don't wanna make it more than that. But I say he's been cheating on his wife and he's been confessing to his girlfriend. And I hope she was not giving him absolutions. But that's exactly it. So why is that? I'm saying it just to make you laugh, but I think there's a lesson here. Who he is intimate with?
His girlfriend.
His girlfriend. And that's why he is able to confess, to say he had trusted her, opened his heart, and he's saying whatever he has done evil or wrong, and he doesn't feel like he's going to be rejected. No, he's not. He's not. Somebody confesses by the phone from over 6 states away. Seriously, I'm not lying.
63.
Yeah, at least 6 states. Huh? From the group, the crowd in Boston, so it's not from you. But I want to say to you, this is exactly it. Vulnerability and exposure, it means intimacy. We don't have that. That's why you start with talking about cliches and good morning, good afternoon, and all that stuff. And then you talk about politics and your opinion about Trump. This is a little bit advanced because you also can be attacked. If you got a Democrat and you're a Republican or something, they might hit you. So, anyway, so you go through it all the way until you reach to the most embarrassing things that you've done in your life. I remember I used to go and confess to my best friend before I confessed to Abuna. I felt very comfortable with my friend, and he felt comfortable with me. Anyway, so today I want to talk about something closely connected, and this is something that's all over the Bible, and I want us to pay attention to it. We need to put that stuff, whatever we do today, should be on our website, the church website, somehow under the servants corner, servants page. So let me go into, pull out King James Bible and look into it. We'll go to Genesis chapter 6. And this is a theme in the whole Bible that I want us to pay attention to because it's a very strong theme. It starts from chapter 6 when the divine inspiration is talking about the condition of man before the coming of the flood. Pay attention to this. You can say to the children that humans were wicked, evil, and the flood came. God sent the flood because they were wicked. That is good. When you teach the children, that's okay. But we as adults and people who wants to know God more, we need to know exactly what was wicked about man. What was it? And this is the passage that we're going to start reading together. Now it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them. Here, men means the daughters of Cain. There's 2 genealogies in Genesis 4 and 5. There's 4 genealogy of Cain, and it starts with Cain. 5, it's the genealogy of God. Go back. Because some people would start twisting this and make it the sons of man, sons of God as angels, but it's not. Here. This is the book of the genealogy of Adam. In the day that God created man, he made him in the image, and that's not the likeness, of God. He created them, male and female. He blessed them and called them mankind. In the day they were created, and Adam lived 130 years and begot son in his own likeness, after his image, and named him Seth. So what does this genealogy begin with? No. No. Where's Cain? Who is the beginning here? He says, this is the book of genealogy of Adam. And then he goes to say, in the day that God created man. So he's saying that the beginning of the genealogy of Adam is God. That's what you see Luke saying. The son of Seth, the son of Adam, the son of God. So Adam is the son of God. This is the genealogy of God on earth. Now we go to Cain, which in chapter 4. Then Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod at the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch. And he built a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. So Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begot Nahuiah. He started right into the genealogy, but that genealogy starts with Cain. So you have the children of God, and you have the children of Cain, a man, a human being. That's not God. So the church interprets this as, this is the family of Adam. You see the title in the chapter, rightly so. And even in Luke, he's bringing you Luke 3:36, which is the genealogy of Christ. So when you go to chapter 6, the beginning of the flood, flood is 6 to 11. Actually, flood 6 to 9. There's the table of nations 10, and then genealogy of Abraham in 11, and then Abraham's story. And God called Abraham and told him, come out of your country of your father. You remember the numbers. 6 to 9 is the flood. So it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were beautiful. And then some people said, and some actually from the church writers in the second and third century said it was the angels. Sons of God are the angels. It's not. Because Jesus said it specifically, when the Sadducees came to him and said, how is there, because they don't believe in resurrection, they don't believe in spirits, they don't believe in angels, they don't believe in afterlife. He said, okay, we'll make a riddle for you. Because you side with the Pharisees who believe in the afterlife and the spirits and the resurrection and all that nonsense. He said, sure. He said, what about this? A man gets married to a woman and he dies, but he had no children. And the woman gets married to his brother according to the Mosaic law to have children for him, for his brother who died. And this man dies too before he gives any children. And the third, and the fourth, and the fifth, and the sixth, and the seventh. She married the seventh, and all of them died without children. So none of them had an advantage over the others. But then they all go out, are going to be in heaven. Whose wife she will be? What did Jesus say? I want the specific answer.
None of them. I said
They will be like the angels of God. You are misled to think there will be marriage and giving birth to children because they will be like the angels of God. Stating a fact that Jesus is saying that angels do not marry, do not have kids. So this statement about the sons of God being the race meant by the sons of God is foolish and false. So the daughters of men, here is the daughter of genealogy of Cain. And rightly so, because Cain actually, in his genealogy, there's a man who started building a city. You saw that in verse. The first city ever to be built in the Bible, in the biblical history, is by Cain. He started building a city. What about Seth and the rest of the genealogy of Adam? They were all shepherds and farmers. They lived in the country. They lived in tents like Abraham, like the Israelites in the wilderness. Whenever God wants to correct the people, what does he do? He brings them out of the city and put them where? In the wilderness. So these daughters of men, and then in the genealogy of Cain, you find somebody who invents music and metalsmith and all kinds of, what's that? You have a city, you have music, you have carpenters, metalsmiths, all kinds of crafts. What's that? Civilization. And with that come makeup, nice dresses, nice hairstyles, So what will happen to the farmer community and the shepherds when they see the girls who are in the city? They will go nuts. They will go nuts. That's the problem all over the history. So they saw that they were beautiful, and they took wives from themselves from all what they have chosen. They actually started to do polygamy. This means they picked 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, whatever. And these girls were careless. They didn't care. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not strive with man. Here, actually, the spirit should be with a small s, not a capital S. A small s spirit, he means the breath, pneuma. In the Septuagint Greek, pneuma, the breath that God had given to Adam. It's not his own spirit. This is not the way it should be translated. The small spirit, the human spirit. Which means God would say, would limit the life of man. They were to 800, 900. Methuselah was 970 something. Then now they will go down to 120 years top. From that time on, the life of men kind of got shorter. There were giants on the earth, and they say this is the mixing of the two races of Canaanites with the Sethites. Then the Lord said, this is verse 5. What happened now? Then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great on the earth. Put this aside. And that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Every intent of the thought of his heart, and it's translated in the New King James, the imagination. What's the imagination? It's the image factory. The place where you make the images inside of you. It's our heart, the deepest part of us. The heart. Because it's translated again here, you can say that the thoughts of his heart, not the mind. The thoughts of the heart. Translated about the heart, the feelings, the things that the man desires, the things that he loves the most, things that he would strive for, that would motivate him to do things and would push him to not do other things. So when God looked, actually, what did he look at? Did he look just at the actions? He looked at the heart, because that's what Samuel would say. When the father of David would come to him and says, you want a king? You want one of my children? Take the oldest. He's the biggest, he's the fattest, he's the strongest, he's a soldier. And then what does Samuel says? Man looks at the eyes, but God looks at the heart. And he looked at the heart of all human beings on earth and found the heart is corrupted. So it's almost like this. You open the tap, the faucet, and mud comes down. And then you say, hey, okay, maybe they were working on the pipe, let me wait. So you wait for another 5 minutes, mud comes down. You wait another hour, mud comes down. You wait a whole day, it's muddy. You wait a week, it's muddy. Then you say, what's going on? Follow track the pipe all the way to the source where this big tank is, and you open the tank and you look into it, and it is mud. What would you say? This system is bad. We have to change it. This is what God saw. He said, it's not about action. It's not about one action or two actions, one word, 2 words. It's actually the source is corrupted. When the source is corrupted, there is no... Do you see this? Is this a theme somewhere else? Did you hear about it? Is it coming anywhere else as servants in Sunday school? We should know that this is a big theme in the Bible. Huh? I didn't want to go there, but this is a side point. So she's asking about Cain. Look at what happened when Eve is going to have a son. What would she say? What would Eve say? Where is it? Okay, in in verse 25 in chapter 4. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bore a son and named him Seth. And Eve words are very important to be written because she's going to say why she called him that name. For God has appointed another seed for me instead of Abel, whom Cain killed. What is the implication? What does it mean? ربنا اداني عوض بدل اللي قتلوا مين؟ الله. طب ما هو لو قايين موجود ما محتاج عوض ليه؟ انا بقول لك لو قايين معتبر من العيله، ده قايين قتل لها ابنها وربنا ادالها بداله، يبقى العوض ده لمين؟ يبقى قايين محسوب ايه؟
مش محسوب بقى.
خالص.
مش محسوب.
He is not part of the family. He's an enemy. هو خرج بنفسه والعيله اعتبرته ايه؟ enemy. He's an enemy.
So they had 3 sons.
Yes, Cain killed Abel because he was evil, very evil. And then when they got Seth, it's Eve who called him Seth because she said it is a replacement for Abel, whom Cain killed. So Cain becomes now an enemy. He's not a part of the family. Maybe she would go and say, ربنا يخلي لنا قايين ويبقى هو No, she didn't say that. She didn't say that. She said Cain. Now Cain is an outsider, somebody who is evil. Came to kill her son, and now he's an outsider. That's why he has a genealogy by himself. He's a totally different race now.
But then Cain was with his sister anyway, right?
His sister.
He did marry his sister, no?
That's a tradition. This is not a Bible, but tradition. They say they were twins, and the Jews would say this, and they exchanged the twins. That's a tradition. That's not in the Bible. But,
Who did they marry?
They married the twin sister of the other. So that's what the Jewish tradition would say. Abel was a twin brother of a sister
Okay.
in one womb, and Cain was a twin brother of a sister. So they married the twin sister of Cain to Abel,
Okay.
and the Jews even go to say it was the beautiful sister, the twin sister of Cain was more beautiful than the twin sister of Abel. So he didn't like her.
And Seth?
And Seth would have to marry from their generations. Seth came very much later. This happened later. Not after that, there were like these generations. At the time, there was no ban on marrying within the family, obviously. That's where Lot's daughters thought they were going back to the same days. When they found that everybody's killed, they thought the whole earth was destroyed. They said, so it's okay to have our father. Let's just get him drunk, so he doesn't feel anything. Anyway, so that's the idea. So the focus here is that God is looking into the heart, and that's why the flood is coming. Right. Now I go all the way with you, so I don't stay long here, to the New Testament. And in the New Testament, Jesus is going to speak the same way. You can look up the verses when Jesus said, out of the heart comes the words. From the fruit of the heart, the mouth speaks. Right? There's verses like that all over the New Testament. He says, out of the heart comes the evil and the good. A good man, out of his good heart comes good. An evil man, out of his evil heart comes evil. They said, when the Pharisees they came to the Pharisees and said, clean first the inside, and the outside will be clean. So the focus of Christ is on the work of the heart. There's also St. Paul, when he says, when you think about what is noble, in Philippians, think of what is noble, what is of good repute, what's honorable. That's in Philippians, right? I think I better go and search it because these verses are important. All over the New Testament, actually. You say, so this one is whatever, it's Philippians. finally, brothers, this is Philippians 4:8, and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. He doesn't say do it. He say actually think, which leads me to say, let me ask you this, and this is when I ask people, usually it's common knowledge. What's the door to the heart? Is your mind, the intellect, your mind. So what St. Paul is saying here, before you allow to your heart evil things that will be stored inside there, what should you enter into the heart? Through your thoughts, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is honorable. He lists them. He's saying, think about things that's good. So what actually you're storing in this big tank is good water. So when you bring out, you're bringing, nothing comes out filthy. No stuff that comes that is corrupted, right? So what is the door to the intellect? Huh? Yes? True. What did you say? Who said senses?
I didn't say that.
You did, okay. So what is the door to the intellect? To our mind? Is our eyes and our ears. The eyes and